Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.
Would you like to go to Hawaii? Well, I'm sitting in my office, but I'm now in Hawaii. My guest today is Margo Nagy, and she lives in Hawaii. She's on my show because a friend recommended her, thought it would be a good idea for me to share her with you because she helps people to align their hearts with their higher selves. I thought that was an automatic for people, but apparently not. And so Margo is going to tell us how she does that and probably, hopefully, reasons why our hearts would not be aligned with our higher selves. So, Margo, welcome to Conversations with Jennylyn.
Aloha and greetings from Kauai.
Are you Hawaiian, or were you or did you relocate there?
Yeah, I grew up in the Bay Area, and then I lived on Kauai for 10 years, and then I just went back to the Bay Area about 6 years ago to take care of my mom. She was really sweet. She was about 95, and then I was there for about 6 years, and she passed away a few years ago, and then I just manifested coming back to Kauai. It's just really, really special here.
What is so special about it? I mean, I know Hawaii, I've been there, and I know it's so beautiful and tropical. And I spent a lot of my life in the Caribbean because I grew up in Guyana, which is close to most of the Caribbean islands, and I love the island feel. But what is it about Hawaii that draws you there?
Well, it's actually the island of Kauai. It has a lot of, they call it mana.
Yes.
So it's the same, it's like the light force and the love, from God and everything. It's just vibrating here. So it's kind of like the feeling you get when you meditate. And so that's how I help people meditate and get into alignment, because you get into this yummy, peaceful feeling. And on the mainland, it would take me like 20 minutes, just to quiet my mind. And sometimes it would take me an hour just to get to that feeling. But here, you just like, you get off the plane and you can actually feel it. Like your body relaxes, and, I live on this beautiful property, and everywhere you look, it's like you're in heaven or dreaming. It's really a magical place.
It sounds like it. So is the experience you describe when you disembark, is that a feeling that you think everyone feels, or is it only people who are spiritually evolved?
That's a good question. There's a lot of, spiritual healers here who live here. I think it's people that are connected to their body. And so that's what I'm doing with getting people to align with their heart. A lot of people close down their heart. So, especially if you've had a divorce or, somebody hurt you, then you close your heart down and then you can't even feel it. And we have this unconditional love and light within our heart. And so in meditation, if you just close your eyes and drop in and breathe, then, you can connect to that. And then if something comes up, you can heal and release it.
That's beautiful. Just about everyone on this journey of life has had some hurt. And what you described earlier is a very common reaction to the pain. People shut down, then they're afraid to allow other people into their lives. And they are just afraid of love because it's like PTSD around love. It's like, not doing the love thing. It comes with too much pain. And then life is not fun alone. I really believe we were born to share our lives with other people, and in terms of intimacy, at least one person. And so you've had a bad experience in love and you shut down. It's not very good. I've been guilty of that. So tell us about that. Tell us how you could release that, or if it can. And
Yes, but I do private sessions to help people, and I just created this fabulous webinar. It's not ready yet, But this is what happens with the meditation is you go deeper and deeper into your heart. And I think that's why some people don't want to meditate, because they don't want to feel. They don't want to feel the feelings, but they just have to remember that that was from the past. So a lot of things happen in our childhood we don't even remember. You know, our parents said, oh, no, you can't do that, or you're bad, so go to your room. And then they think they're not deserving, you know, or their teacher scolded them or something. And then it gets stuck in your subconscious. But when you start meditating and go deeper into your heart, so you could feel, how does my heart feel? You know, does it, some people don't even feel it. So then you're like, well, why don't I feel it? So I usually have people write it down on a piece of paper and call on their higher self and their guides and say, you know, why do I not feel anything, or what happened? And then just see what comes up. And so when you meditate, you can quiet your mind, you can start hearing answers or just writing them down. And so, or if your chest feels tight, then you would just ask, why, you know, what happened to make me feel this way? And if you just sit there for a while, you might get a vision, or you might all of a sudden remember something that happened. And it could take a day or two, you know, and if it's really traumatic, I suggest going to a counselor or a therapist, you know, because some people have really traumatic situations, you know, they were raped or whatever. And so of course you don't want to just do it by yourself in case it's really hard to go through. But it's all, the beautiful thing is it, once it comes out, then you can just remember, well, that was then, I'm safe now, I'm in control now. And I have God and angels and my higher self with me, protecting me all the time. So you're always protected. And then the more you meditate and the more you get into your alignment, you're just really in this inner peace, and you're just really powerful. And then you realize that you also, most importantly, you have the power to create your own reality in your world. And so that's what I help people too, because I've become an expert on that.
So here's something that occurred to me while you were speaking, and I thought of it before, and I never really had the answer. But as human beings, if you've lived 100 years, for some reason, the things we store are the unpleasant experiences. I personally have had so many I've had a fantastic life. But the things that I seem to have stored and held on to was the trauma and the things that didn't really serve me, the bad experiences. And I always think of a photograph. My favorite picture is of two children. One is very, very black, and one is very white. And they're hugging each other, and the love that you see emanating from the hug is sincere. It's so authentic. They're too young to be faking it. And then as they grow older, somehow they change. And so the lesson in it for me, from my power of observation, is that something occurred in their mind and their thinking that changed the way they perceive a person of different color or whatever, that they no longer can have that sincere bond with the person, because it happens a lot. When you do the research, somewhere in their head there was programming that occurred that
Yeah.
resulted in their change of attitude toward maybe someone of a certain color. And then you think about parents. Our parents have said so many things to us as children, and I grew up and did the same thing, because you don't think of a child and that very innocent mind that is developing all their patterns and everything from what you are telling them. And then in my case, I downloaded a lot of the same stuff on them that was downloaded on me. And now where I sit, I wish I could undo it, but the wiring is already done. So
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is that you can undo that. And so that's another exercise would be, you know, let's say you have a belief that you have to work a 9-to-5 job to be successful. And so you would go in and ask yourself, or ask your guides and your higher self, you know, whose belief is this? Was this my parents' belief? Was it a teacher's belief? Was it on the media? And then once you figure that out, you'll say, oh, that was my dad's belief. Okay, well, that that was his belief, and it's not actually true. There's many people who don't work a 9-to-5 job that are very successful. And then that's when your logical mind can let it go, and then you can release it, and then just imagine, you know, yourself doing whatever you want to do. And that's what I was doing. I was selling new homes for a while, and I knew I was really here on the planet to help people ascend and to raise their vibration and learn how to meditate and get into alignment. And so it was really hard, you know, quitting my job. I was making a lot of money, but it just didn't feel right. And so I had to work through those things. Like, I can do whatever I want. I can make money, you know, following my mission and all that stuff. So it's really kind of fun actually to get a blank piece of paper and write down all these reasons, like, oh, you know, I can't quit my job because, or I can't get promoted because, and then you'll see, oh, I'm not smart enough and that's too easy and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and then you just kind of work through it, you know.
So you help people to overcome those blockages spiritually.
Yes.
Okay. I know when you were speaking about the money, and this is why I call my show Conversations with Jennylyn, because when I speak with people, a lot of things are triggered in my own mind that I've had questions about. And when I speak with an expert on a particular topic, as they speak, the questions come. So I'm going to throw them out at you, and I don't expect that you can answer all of them, but I hope you can.
Yeah.
So, you know what you're saying about money, we are programmed to live our lives in certain patterns, all of us. Like, you go to kindergarten, you go to middle school, whichever country you live in, the education system varies, but then you go to high school, then you go to college, and you get married, then you have children, and then you have to be, and if you don't fit into these molds and stereotypes, you are viewed as a failure, either by other people or you beat yourself up for it. But here's my question. They have these molds and these belief systems for a reason. Because if we don't do the 9-to-5, some of us, because we weren't born wealthy, how then do you manifest income to afford your monthly obligations or your life obligations? And that becomes tricky.
So yeah, there's a couple different pieces to that. I'll talk about the ego and the higher self for a minute. So I also help people in the webinar I'm doing and in my private sessions to decipher the voice coming in that's from your ego and your higher self. So your ego is going to be the voice that's saying, oh, you can't do that. You did that before, and this is what happened, and you asked for a raise and you didn't get it. So that's coming from the past. But when you meditate and you connect to your higher self and you ask your higher self questions, your higher self is outside of you. It's been with you and through all your lifetimes. It sees the bigger picture, and it's connected to God and the angels and the unlimited universe. So your higher self is guiding you. So if you say, you know, is it time to quit my job? You know, your higher self will say no, another month or two, or maybe, you know, you need more money or whatever, but you start communicating with your higher self. Your ego will say, oh, no, 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 you know, never. And then the other part of that is the manifesting. So I have a really good example. I was working for one builder, and I would get a base salary and then a commission for every house I sold. And I just wanted to make like $10,000 a month consistently. So I just put that out there. I intend to make $10,000 a month consistently, regardless of how many houses I sell. A couple weeks later, another builder called me and knew about me and said, oh, hey, I talked to the owners. We created a new position just for you, making $10,000 a month. And I was driving, I almost drove off the road. I mean, it was a whole new position. So that's the thing about intending and manifesting, is you also have to believe. But once you believe in it, then the universe and your guides and God just create something magical out of nowhere. You know, and then it happened again, and I wanted to make more money, and I have a vision board, and I would put Post-its up there. I want to make 150,000. And then I was making 150,000. So I've gotten really, really good at that. So I have these manifesting meditations. So there's a couple different ways, but you know, we have limiting beliefs to our manifestations too. We have to believe it, you know, like playing the lottery, you know, people do win. So it is possible, you know, anything is possible. So it's really working through your limiting beliefs that really helps.
So that is so tough because from childhood, some of us have had parents who told us you'll never amount to anything or you're not, you know what I mean? And you at a tender age in your life, some people, when they're told this, they make it a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, if my mother or father said that to me, it's gonna happen. This is my mom. This is my dad. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so they almost self-sabotage. And I've seen it. But I have a vision board. And I must admit, I keep going, when is the stuff up there gonna happen? It just doesn't. And I would not say that I'm self-sabotaging in any way. So what am I doing wrong?
Yeah, well, that's because consciously you're not. And that's funny. My dad said the same thing to me. My dad was an alcoholic. And if I left the garage door open, he would yell at me and say, "You're never going to amount to anything." Isn't that, it's so funny. And that was really hard for me for a while. So it just helps when there's someone else like me or somebody else when you're doing a session, because you're getting into that space, you're calling in your higher self and your guides, and you just kind of walk through it. So you go through, you know, where, you know, when you were little and your dad said that, and oh, wow, he was drinking and he had 7 kids and he was incredibly stressed out. And he obviously didn't mean that, you know, so as a child, you don't understand it. But when you go there in your adult self with your guides and angels, then you can see it. And then it actually can dissolve and you say, I intend to heal and release this believe now, and you know no longer serves me, and then you bring in, you know, light and all that stuff. So there's just kind of a few steps that you do, and then you can start doing it yourself. And then a lot of times you can say that was then, this is now. Like, you know, that's, of course you're going to amount to something. I mean, when you think of it logically, you know, it doesn't make sense, but you really have to go deep inside, and sometimes there's layers, you
So
know.
I have to share this with you. I am someone, and when I was in high school, we had athletic competition, and there we broke the school up in houses, and our house was losing by 5 points, and we had no competitor for one of the events, high jump. I had never high jumped in my life because my father believed young girls shouldn't jump. So
Oh,
he banned us girls from jumping.
no.
I remember being at this competition going, all we need is 5 points. I'll get punishment for this. I'm gonna go jump. And
Oh
even
my.
if I score 2 points, it will save our house. And do you know I won? I
See.
kept looking at the bar and thinking, I'm gonna clear that. I'm gonna clear that. And I did. And that attitude has gotten me where I am today. Just this week, the horizontal blinds in my bedroom broke, and I'm afraid to bring a stranger in my house because I live alone. And I kept looking at it thinking, I can change it. And I went to the store, I bought some new ones, it was too big for my car. A neighbor brought it home for me. And Monday after my television show, before I edited it, I scrutinized it, pull up a YouTube video, and successfully changed a 104-inch horizontal. I had to take everything out, and I did it. I did the same thing fixing the garage. And so I can speak to the power of belief. And I believe if it can humanly, if someone else has done it, my thing is I can do it too.
Yes.
So what do you have to say to people who are stuck? What do you think is keeping them stuck? And then we're going to talk about why it's important to align your heart with your higher self.
Yes. Well, I do want to point out how powerful our mind is. So that's incredibly important. So whatever you focus on is what you're going to get. And you know, if you're stuck, then you just have to work through it. You just have to see what's holding you back. A lot of times it's fear.
Mm-hmm.
And so when that's the beauty of getting into alignment is when when you know that you're surrounded by your guides and angels always, and you have so much support and they're just waiting for you to ask for their help, then you can do anything. So we have free will. So we have to ask for certain things. So you can say, hey, I'm stressed out, I'm freaked out, what do I do? And they'll send you a webinar or, book will fall off the shelf, or there's, a friend will call or something, but, and I think the most important thing too is remembering that you can create anything. So what we're thinking about is what we create. Like if you're driving the freeway and you think you're going to run out of gas, you're going to run out of gas. But if you say, I intend that I'm going to make it to the gas station, then you will. And I used to do that with appointments because I'm always running late. So I would look at the clock in the car and say, I intend that I get to this appointment at 10 a.m. or whatever. And sure enough, I would get there at 10 a.m. And it's just because you intend it, and then you just imagine it, and then you let it go, and I don't know if we have time for a quick story, but I have another story.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, this is really powerful. This happened about a year ago, right when COVID started. And I sleep I have sleep apnea, so I sleep with one of those masks.
Right.
I have to sleep on my back. And sometimes I can't fall asleep right away. So I lay on my back and wait till I get really sleepy. And I accidentally fell asleep without the mask on. And I woke up at 4 a.m. and I couldn't breathe. It was the weirdest thing. I couldn't I could just take little short, shallow breaths, and I was like freaking out. And I thought, oh my God, what's going on? And then COVID had started, and I thought, oh my God, do I have COVID? And then I was like, no, I don't have COVID. And then I thought, well, what if I call the emergency room, the ambulance, and they take me in there and they think I do, and they put me on the respiratory and, all this crazy stuff. So I didn't want to call the ambulance. So, and then I started to get a panic attack, and I've had panic attacks when I was younger. And then I looked over at the chair I meditate on in my bedroom and remembered, oh yeah, okay, I can, just start breathing deeply. So I just started focusing on my breath, and it took like 20 minutes, but every breath just got a little bit deeper and a little deeper. And of course I called on my guides and angels, and I just focused on breathing and kept imagining that I could breathe normally. And I was able to stop this anxiety attack and start breathing. I mean, it was amazing. The most powerful thing was I was scared to go back to sleep, but the most powerful thing was like, wow, I can't believe how powerful my brain was. I actually, just by focusing on my breath, stopped that whole thing, whatever was happening,
That's an amazing story.
Yeah. So, and the breath is really important too, and that was the other part of the breath thing. So I'm kind of going all over the place, but another part of the breath thing is for people that are in fear. When you start getting afraid, you start breathing shallowly, and you really, if you can just focus on your breath, even if you're out in public, you don't have to close your eyes, but if you could just start focusing on your breath, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out, and it's amazing. Your whole body just starts to relax. And then if you've been meditating a lot, your body goes, oh, she's breathing deeply. Oh, we're going to relax, and we're going to get into alignment and connect with this unlimited power we have inside and clarity, and everything's going to be okay. So that's the other reason it's so important to meditate every day, because then you're like, your body gets triggered really quickly. Then you can just get into your alignment really quick,
Yeah, the breath is very important. It does ground you.
Yes.
So before we run out of time, do you want to tell us why it's important to keep your higher self in alignment with your heart? And what is your higher self?
Yes. Yeah. So your higher self, and see, that's the thing. A lot of people don't really understand the higher self. Your higher self is the part of you that, like I said earlier, has been with you in all your lifetimes. You can call on your higher self. You can ask to align with your higher self. And it's connected a little bit more to God and the angels and your guides. And your heart is where your soul is, actually in your heart, the deep part of your heart. And so you want to get into your heart to know what your heart desires, and what your body feels. But you want to connect to your higher self to get that guidance every day. Like go to Starbucks, and then you go to Starbucks and you meet somebody, or call this person now, or, do this now, or don't eat this, or whatever. you can get to the point where, or you just get that gut, you listen to your intuition more, like, oh, I should have got off the freeway, right? Or I should have turned left or something like that.
Oh, so
So
that is your higher self. Your higher self is your intuition.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. And that's,
How
yeah.
in the world does anyone get their intuition out of alignment with their heart? Trauma?
Well, no, well, yeah, it's the shutting down. So that's the thing. That's why people need to meditate. Most people walking around in the world are not connected to their heart or their higher self. And they're just drinking coffee all day and watching the news and doing whatever the outside's telling them to do. And then after work, drinking and taking antidepressants and, just avoiding everything, so, so that's why.
So you said it is drink coffee all day.
I mean, it's okay to drink coffee all day. I mean, I drink tea all day too. But like for me, it's, I did that for 4 years, or well, 6 years. I was selling new homes, but 4 years went by so fast and I didn't do anything because I was driving an hour each way and working and watching TV when I got home and even drinking a little. And I never used to drink. And I was so stressed out, I would drink a little. And then, 4 years just went by because I wasn't connecting to myself and what I really want and who I really.
I have to ask you this.
Yeah. So
People are so caught up in the lifestyle that comes with making a lot of money. And lately, I've been running into a lot of people like you who walked away from that to focus on their spiritual journey and life. What was it in your life that made you walk away from making $10,000 a month and more sometimes
yeah.
to what you're doing now? What happened? Because almost everyone has a story of some sort of wake up call that made them change.
Yeah, well, for me, it was a little tricky because I've known for about 15 years that I am here to help the planet um, ascend and raise people's consciousness. And I've done a little bit of healing work before. I went to an energy healing school, 20 years ago. I just never made money, with the healing. And I growing up in the Bay Area, I like nice cars, I like nice things. So, there's always that part of me that wants to make the money. So after I made enough money, I saved a lot of money. And then I did have a session with another guy, a healer, and it was funny because I was playing the lottery and he said, your gifts are your lottery. And so I realized, and I'm also writing a book, actually, I'm really excited. So I have a book coming out soon. And I'm the kind of person where, I'll intend to make millions of dollars with my book, or whatever. So I just have a really creative mind. So I just realized, that I wasn't happy and I wasn't even doing my job very well, like I just knew that my purpose isn't to sell new houses, is to help people. And with COVID, there's, so many people are freaking out. So many people lost their jobs.
We are almost out of time. And I want to ask you, what's your book about?
Yeah, so my book is about getting into your alignment. So I walk people how to connect to their heart and their higher self and their guides so that they can feel peace regardless of what's going on in the world. And then the beautiful thing is that when you're in this alignment, you do have the clarity and power to create your reality. And that's what I've done. I'm back here living on a $4 million estate on Kauai and swimming in the ocean and hiking and writing my book.
You poor thing, $4 million property. I feel so bad.
And I'm only paying $1,600 for the whole upstairs of a house with my friend. I have an office and a master bedroom. And see, that's what I'm saying. That's how kind of things you can manifest. I was paying $2,600 for a 1-bedroom apartment in Tiburon before. So, so that's the whole thing about anything is possible. That's probably the most important thing. Okay. I do want to say also,
I'm going to add 5 more minutes because we were frozen there for a while. And also, I want to ask you what you want to leave with the viewers. So,
Yes.
what do you want to leave with my viewers?
Yes, well, I would love everybody to go to my website. It's my name, margonagy.com. And I have this fabulous webinar coming up soon, and my book will be on there and all these meditations. And I would say the most important thing would just to remember that their mind is really powerful and that they can create their reality, and that they should really start meditating for sure if they're not already.
You know, I try. It's very, very difficult to quiet your mind. Can you give us all watching this
Yeah.
a tip and the best way to quiet your mind?
Yes, yes. Well, the one really quick tip is to do it as soon as you wake up in the morning, before you start thinking about all the things you have to do. You could also have a piece of paper next to you in case you're like, oh, I have to do this later today. You write it down, you forget about it. But toning is the quickest thing. So the toning for me is, so you take a breath in and then you make a noise. So you breathe in and then you go, and then you take another breath in. And when you're toning, you can't think of anything else. And if you wear earplugs, which I do, then it's really loud. And for me, it just takes, after a while, it takes 2 or 3 of these toning noises, and it just brings you into your body really quickly. And if it's noisy outside, you live with other people or you're at work, you just go in the bathroom or your car and just start toning. Close your eyes and just start toning. So I have a toning meditation on my website also, but that's the best, quickest way to get into your alignment. And the more you do it, well, I was going to say, the more you do it, then your body, it's like working out. You get stronger and stronger and stronger. So it really is a practice.
Is there anything I didn't ask you that you want to leave with people before we wrap?
Let me see. I think that's it. Just go to my website and I have a lot of tools on my website, and start calling on your angels and guides for help, because they're just all there waiting for you to ask, even for a parking spot. You can ask for anything.
I do that and it works.
Yeah.
I do,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, a large percentage of mankind thinks this is hocus pocus. But I have learned not to knock something until I've tried it. Don't judge it, don't refute it, unless it's something that's obviously going to hurt me. I listen, I give it a try, and I've evolved because I have an open mind.
Yes, and I'm living proof that you can do anything. I was almost suicidal a few years ago. My husband died. I was sick for 20 years with chronic fatigue syndrome. So I've had a lot of stuff, and so that's the whole thing, is I can relate to anybody, and I'm living proof that anything is possible, and you can create your life out of nothing. I've had nothing a few times and created amazingness. So it's anything is possible.
It was lovely to meet you, Margo, and I've
Yeah.
really enjoyed this time with you. So hopefully we've covered everything. And what will your book be called in case someone wants to buy it to learn how to meditate?
For now, it's called Feel Peace Now and Create Your Reality.
Feel Peace Now and Create Your Reality by Margo Nagy is going to be on the market soon. So if you don't know how to meditate, based on this conversation, you may find some great tips in there to help you with this.
And on my website also, margonagy.com.
Thank you so much, Margo. And thank you so much for continuing to watch Conversations with Jennylyn. When a conversation is all you need to be inspired, and I do my best to bring the best that I'm hoping will inspire you in some way. And I thank you so much and promise to bring you another guest very soon. If you're enjoying my shows, please hit like and subscribe. And I will see you next time.
Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.